Yes, people. 12th man's back. We've got the Arsenal roundabout in the house. Big up to everyone that is here watching live, and of course to all yous that are watching on catch up. We've got a great lineup tonight. There is no Lee because Lee forgot that their watch along was on at the wrong time. So he texted me today saying, "Oh yeah, I can do that," and then he's like, "Nah, Club World Cup. Sorry, mate, I've got my timings wrong." No, Igal either. Igal's busy tonight or this week. I think he's doing some moving house stuff. So I've got a good panel lineup. We've got Christian in the house. We've got Brandon, who's promised me that his Wi-Fi is better than it was last time. Looks like he's got a proper setup now. We've got Matty in the house, Southern Guna, and we've got D from Just D from Fam Zone TV. D, how are you, my bro?
I'm good, brother. Good intro though. That intro is fire still.
I love that, man. Yeah,
big up the intro, man. I was watching that vibing on my own.
Yeah, man. There's some good reminiscing stuff on that, man. Make sure you're following Fam Zone TV. People, they're doing great stuff over there. And make sure you're showing some love to the panel as well. We've got Christian Ty on Instagram and socials. We've got True Gunners TV, Brandon, and we've got Matty at Southern Guna. It's going to be us five. It's going to be for the next hour talking all things Arsenal. And I'd love to say that we're signing people and we're moving mad, but it's looking like it's a little bit slow at the moment. So we're going to be talking about that and asking people's opinions of that. Before we do that, make sure you hit like and subscribe. You're following all of the panel and you've scanned the QR code to download Match Bingo. Let's get Match Bingo loaded for the Club World Cup, people, because there's a lot of people texting me saying they're enjoying playing it and they're getting close to winning money. And actually, it's easier to win money than you think. But a few people message me saying they've won £150, albeit a couple of them are Liverpool fans, which is not great. I'd like to get some Gooners to win, but let's make sure that we get Match Bingo downloaded. Most people would have had it by now, but if you haven't got it, then click on the link in the description and let's get that downloaded. Let me start with D because, you know, it's a debut on the channel. And I know we've spoken before on podcasts on other people's channels and collab together before. And yeah, I think you and I see things a little bit differently when it comes to the Arsenal. But I think with this transfer window, we might be on a similar page, brother. It's been a little bit slow, D. What's your thoughts, bro?
Way too slow for me. Way too slow. I think, like, obviously, for those that don't know, I'm heavily Arteta in. That's why Dan's saying we're on different pages because we think differently on that. But in terms of Berta, to me, if you hire somebody that's experienced and ready to take the lead and take the club by storm, I expect you to do that. I don't expect anything else but what you've been brought in for immediately. I don't want to hear all this hype about Berta and all of this big brash bravado and all of this chaos that he brought over from him and Simeone were going back and forth with each other. And then when you come over here, I want to see the chaos that I expect you to bring. You don't hire an experienced plumber and then expect them to, and then don't take the plaudits for what they done. I expect you to do what you came in to do. And Berta's taking too long for me. I'm not interested in, yes, he's bidding for this guy and that guy and he's different this time. I'm not interested in any of that. There's players there that we could have got immediately, then go and do your wheeling and dealing. I don't want to start getting to the last stage of the transfer window and having to start looking for deals. Because all of these players that we thought were not basic, but the Premier League proven players are all going to be gone soon. Liam Delap, he's gone already. And Bremo looks like he's going. Cunha looks like he's going. So if you don't get your main targets, you're not going to be able to have any fallback options anymore. So I don't really have any time for what Berta's like. You have to show me craziness immediately, otherwise I'm going to get irritated quick.
Christian, your mate said, Gyökeres, Berta, it's going to get done. He did the spud. I don't know what your thoughts are this window. Look, I know that some people are saying don't go over the top. It's only just opened. Still a long way to go, etc. And I understand that. And I get that there is a long way to go. But when you see Liverpool and City moving the way they're moving, does it not concern you a little bit, bruv?
Of course it does, man. I saw something today. I don't know if it's true, but apparently we're the only top club or Champions League club not to do business yet, something like that, something ridiculous that just makes it feel even worse. Like, people are saying it's slow. Slow implies that we're moving. So if you're walking slowly, at least you're walking. If you're driving slowly, at least you're driving. We ain't even moving slowly, man. We ain't signed the player yet. And I try not to overreact because I trust in Arteta and I trust the board now they bought in Berta. I don't think they're going to bring in Berta and not make a signing. But I've just got PTSD from January, man. I woke up every day in January thinking, all right, today's going to be the day. I'm going to check Twitter. There's going to be a here we go. We're going to sign a striker. All right, today's going to be the day. We're going to sign a player. We're going to sign a winger. Got to the end of January. I think it was an extended window in January, wasn't it? Didn't it go until like February 5th or something? Got to deadline day. Even on deadline day, I was like, it's going to be today. Like, there's no way they'll let us down like that, especially the direction the club's going in. There's literally no chance that we're not going to bring in a player. And what did we do in January? We didn't bring in one player. So I think a lot of the fan base has a bit of PTSD from that. It's not just like I see a lot of rival fans saying to Arsenal fans, calm down. The window is just open. They don't feel how we felt in January. Because this isn't just this window. This is all the way from the January window until now. Even last summer. Like, we were short last summer. We brought in Sterling on deadline day. So PTSD goes back further than just... It can go back to when Wenger was here. It can go back to that Petr Cech window when we brought in one player. It can go back further and further to 06, 07 when we needed to bolster the squad, when we let Thierry Henry go and then we didn't... Do you know what I mean? Like, it goes back so far. It's so deep-rooted for Arsenal fans. That it's not just now that we're reacting to. If it was just now... Right? Say we brought in 2 players in January and three extra players last summer, and this was just this window, I would be calm. Because I would see the other side of it. I would say Zubamendi's pretty much done. So that's a player that we're probably bringing in. Kepa, backup keeper. I saw you saying doesn't excite you. It doesn't excite me either. I think it's probably a good bit of business for £5 million. So that's 2 players that we're trying to address. So that's the side of it I would see if I didn't have this PTSD inside me. But I do. And they need to do business, man. They need to. I feel like a lot of the fans are slowly, I don't want to say turning, but, getting on side of putting negativity out there and starting to complain and starting to want more. And they just need to kind of calm everyone down and reassure everyone that they're on the same page as us. They do want to invest. They do want to win things. And they're not happy with where we are. Because I said this so many times on the channel, Dan. I think this board is happy with where we are. They're happy getting Champions League. They're happy. They don't care if we finish second or first because the prize money finishing second or first is so marginal. Their big investment, their club that they're actually passionate about is over in the US. Right? They don't care if Arsenal win or come second because the money's so similar. They care if we're in the Champions League. They care if we're on the big table. If there was a Super League to start up, they would be in it. But obviously, us fans, we want to win things. That's what matters to us. So they need to prove to us that they want to win things as well, man.
Facts. I think the ambition of the club at the moment has always been lacking, and that's to get across the line. I'm all for spending money to get us back challenging. We've done that. The manager deserves praise. What we're doing now to get across the line. And if the answer is to go and get the likes of Sesko and a left winger that's meaty and a particular cover players, I ain't getting excited by that. Before I come to Brandon, because I know he's got a lot to say on this, Matty, where do you see this? Because Andrea Berta's come in, bruv. Mikel Arteta's on holiday chilling now. Berta needs to do his job. I put a bit on Twitter earlier to troll a few people, and a few people bit. I was obviously mucking around. Arteta's allowed a holiday, right? But he's on holiday. Berta's got to do his business, yeah? And at the moment, we ain't seeing much happening. So who's under pressure here at the moment to deliver, Matt, for you?
Everybody. From top to bottom, all the way down to the janitor. Everybody is under pressure. I've been telling folks for the last 2-3 years, the ambition of this football club needs to be questioned. When we had an 8-point lead and blew it, and then we came back and finished right outside the door again, we should have been screaming for signings back then, major signings. Everybody's screaming for them now. It's almost too late. I don't think people realize it's almost too late. We're sitting in the middle of June. We had 10 free days to go to work. We're coming back. Everybody's telling you July 1st, July 1st, July 1st. Well, July 4th is the Independence Day here, so just throw that out there too. And then by that time, we probably still won't have anybody signed. This football club moves like a snail. It has always done it as long as I supported the football club. When we needed a defensive midfielder, how long did that take to replace Vieira? How long did that take? How long did it take to get a striker? Oh, we still need one. We consistently do this on a daily basis. These wages, everybody knows these wages. I've coined the phrase, the wages of sin at this football club continue to show their face. That's going to show up again. We're going to need players to leave this football club, and then we're going to have to sign. And then you got to hope we sign the right player when that player leaves. Let's talk about Thomas Partey. I hope we sign him Because if we don't, now we back there again. We're going right back down that rabbit hole again. The board's ambition. This board should be under high pressure. It should, when the season ended, instead of everybody celebrating, oh man, 5-1 Real Madrid, all this kind of good stuff, everybody should have been saying, hey, you, board, you need to be signing players as soon as that window opened on June, whatever it was, immediately. Instead, everybody was basking in everything. Oh, you know, we're there, we're challenging, we're close. That is when you're supposed. Soon as we got dumped out of the Champions League, then everybody should have started putting pressure on the board, putting pressure on the manager. This has been going on way too long. Way too long. Berta's coming in the door. This man, look at these wages. I keep telling y'all, look at these wages. Nobody wants to deal with the ugly of this whole situation. Well, Matt, what are you saying? The transfers that we made the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years are now coming back to bite us. Zinchenko, AC Milan, 10 million. I think it's 10 million I heard today that they're talking about for Zinchenko. How much did we pay for him? Another one, loss. He ends up going, that's another loss. This is a mess. I've been saying it for the longest that this team is upside down. Now we're looking at everybody else getting their business done. I keep telling people, Chelsea, people laugh at Chelsea. Chelsea, they hired the money men. They know how to move money around, and we already know what City knows what to do. And now Liverpool say, hey, we want to get in on this too. We are falling behind. We are falling behind. If we do not have, listen to this, y'all clip this if you want. If we do not have all of our players in before we go to Asia, book it, shut it down, get ready for next season. And I'm talking quality players, by the way. I'm not just talking about bodies on the pitch. I'm talking about flat out quality. It is time for this football club to be buying 3, 4, 5 quality players. Not any more projects. Projects is over. We've done that. This is your
how many players do you think we need?
We need about 6 or 7. That's minimum. That's minimum. But see, that's the thing, Christian. This is the thing. This football club ain't signing 6 players. We all know this. Everybody on this panel knows that.
No
that's
way.
What we're thinking.
But we don't need 6 or 7. We need 4 quality players. No. You're saying 6 or 7 or 5. We need 3 minimum first teamers.
We're gonna have to replace the bodies that's leaving.
Now, I don't even care. That's way too far for me. I'm not even thinking about all that. I'm thinking about.
You're not thinking about it now, but come February, January.
No.
Hold on, D.
Hang on, D. Let me ask you this. Why are you not thinking about that? Why are you not thinking about that when the whole narrative around Arsenal and why we struggled last season was because of injuries? Therefore, our squad was not big enough to cope with the injuries. So the players have to be replaced, and we have to bring in more players on top.
Whose narrative are you talking about?
Well, the narrative that everybody set was, oh, Arsenal didn't compete last season because we had too many injuries.
No, no one thought we was going to win. Once we had Havertz up front and we realised no one thought we was going to win the league. We've been behind Liverpool the whole season.
Yeah, the whole season we've been behind Liverpool, but going into the season, everybody expected Arsenal to win the league. If Man City fell off, everybody said, if Man City falls off, Arsenal are the best.
We're the second best to win it. But what I'm saying is now that the season's played out, we now know that even when we had Havertz fit, we weren't top of the league. It wasn't like we were cruising. So we now know on top of Havertz, we need a star player on top of that. Yeah. That's what we know now. We know now that players like Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard, they've got to be our base level. And then 100%. You add icing to the cake. We know that now. It's been played out. We've seen that.
I totally agree. And you're right. We have to bring in top quality players in order to for example, Havertz then becomes the bench player. Martinelli then becomes the bench player. I totally get that. But these players that are leaving, we also have to replace them as well, bro.
Yeah, you do have to replace them.
I'll go through it because I think we're effed. I ain't gonna lie. I think we're effed. Right? And I'll explain it. First of all, I want to know what the plan is from Arsenal Football Club. Forget blaming Berta or Arteta or
I think someone's mic is fuzzing up, by the way. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I hear the clip.
Yeah, is that someone? Whose is that? Yeah, go on. Is that still happening? Can we go on mute? Everyone go on mute apart from Brandon who's chatting.
Yeah, so I want to know what the club's plan was. Because in January, we was told that we didn't sign anybody because we have a plan in the summer. Right? So what was the plan? Why is everybody else around us signing players, big players, and we're still, is it Gyökeres? Is it Šeško? Yeah? Even if that is the case, even if we're kind of doing a little bit of trying to bring this, the asking price for them two players, whichever one it is that we want, down, right? I understand that, negotiation tactics. But Matty said it. We don't just need one striker. We need 5 or 6 players. Yeah, and that's the truth. That's the fact.
I'm agreeing with you on that. But
listen,
my point is, go on.
Steve, we last season, right? We went into the season with a 22-man squad, right? Tomiyasu was effectively injured for the entirety of the season, so you'd call that a 21-man squad, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Tierney and Jorginho have just left the football club, right? So that makes 20 players if you include Tomiyasu as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're a 22-man squad. Partey's contract has run out, and we've yet to sign him up to a new deal. So now we have 19 players. Sterling and Neto have just gone back to their respective clubs. So now we have 17 players, right? Apparently, we've signed Zubamendi and Kepa. So that brings us back to 19 players, right? Without in the current state that Arsenal is. So looking at that, we currently have a 19-man squad if you include them 2 signings. Forget Gyökeres,
Yeah, but you're not including players that I'm assuming Arteta is going to be promoting. Players like you're not including Max Dowman and players like that, are you?
D.
So
we're
that's
talking
the point I'm
about
making.
Going to win the league.
No. But you're still focused on the players that are leaving, and I'm focused on improving the players that are starting. We're talking about 2 totally different things.
We should we should be doing both, D. We should be
doing both. But my focus right now is if you ask me if we need 5 players or 4 players, I want 4 starting players. I'm not thinking about a backup to Saka before I'm thinking about a left winger. I'm not thinking about we need a backup to Gabriel before I'm thinking about a striker.
Totally. But the point I'm trying to get to, right, is all of this transfer window, because Zubamendi was done back in January, apparently.
It's not done yet. As soon as he holds a shirt, it's not done.
Well, either way, right, we was told that the Zubamendi deal was done back in January, right?
Yeah.
I know he still hasn't signed for the club. So the only player that we have effectively actually gone out and got is Kepa, right? So my question is okay, as the club, we have decided that we want either Šeško or Gyökeres. It's going to be one or the other. We're not going to sign both. We know that, right? So what Arsenal are doing right now is tactics in terms of negotiations, right? Because they're flirting with Gyökeres in order to bring down Šeško's asking price. They're doing the same with Šeško in order to bring down Gyökeres' asking price. The fact that Gyökeres is now falling out with Sporting Lisbon and is saying he's not going to play for the club again and he's not going to turn up to this, that and the other also makes it, a better case for Arsenal. But my question is, okay, we can't just, we all as fans want Arsenal to just go and get one of the players. Don't care who it is, just go and get them. We understand there has to be negotiations there. However, we need more players. So why are we not hearing negotiations for other players while this is going on? Why are we not hearing about this player or that player? Like, we're hearing little rumours here and there about Rodrigo potentially, but only after he spoke to Alonso to find out his future, and Nico Williams is now prioritising Barcelona. So effectively, all of this is going on. We're being left behind while other clubs are doing business. And it seems to be the same old story for Arsenal every single transfer window. There's no reason why we should be in this position. However, I said at the beginning of this, I think we're effed because I think there's one of 2 things going on here. I think either there's a lack of a club plan, right? Because let's be honest, Edu left, November? And we didn't bring in Berta until March. Yeah, so we didn't even bring in a sporting director for the January transfer window. We waited until March because we had a plan for the summer. So effectively, Berta's been here for 2 to 3 months, right? So as a club, you should have a plan. and then include this guy in the plan. Fair enough, cool. And he should, as an experienced guy, have a plan coming into the club anyway, right? So that's cool. I think what Matty said about the wage bill is something that we've all got to look at, and I think we're all missing, really. Because if you look at Arsenal's wage bill, just delve into it, right? We're talking about bringing in 4 or 5 top quality players to improve the team, and effectively the players that we have currently got will move to the bench and become the bench players. How are you putting 280 grand a week, Kai Havertz, on the bench? How are you putting 180 grand a week, Martinelli, on the bench? How are you doing this? Like, we can't keep... And then you've got players at the football club that need new deals as well. Thomas Partey's on 200 grand a week. So in order to get him signed up again, we're probably going to have to offer him more than that. Saka needs a new contract. Saliba needs a new contract. Gabriel's just signed a new contract. So our wage bill is continuing to increase. And I think the issue with Arsenal is we can't necessarily sign until we start moving some of these players that are on big wages that we no longer require out of the door. Because our wage bill's effed, guys. Look at Man City's wage bill and compare it to ours. Yeah, they've got players on big money. But their wage bill is structured in a way that the players that offer the most to the football club are on the big wages, and the ones that are like the bench players effectively are lower. Arsenal have got so many players on 100 grand a week plus. I'm thinking, cool, we'll bring in Sesko. We're probably going to have to put him on 200 bags a week. Bring in Gyökeres. You're probably going to have to do the same. Rodrigo. Yeah, let's say we get him 250 grand a week. How is this sustainable? How?
But so what are you saying then? What's your overall point? What's your overall point?
The point that I'm making is, right, we know, based off of what other people have said, is that Berta likes to do deals for a certain number of players and then decide at the end which one he wants, right? Mm-hmm. We're not hearing about too many deals going on behind the scenes. We're only hearing about this Gyökeres and Sesko thing, and potentially a Rodrigo or somebody on the left wing. But what me and Matty have said, which is we need more than that. We need 5-6 players. I don't see Arsenal signing 5 and 6 players in this transfer market. So therefore, that ain't going to be enough to win us the league next season. And that is the expectation for me. I don't know about you guys, right? And I know Potsy said it. As long as he wins me a trophy and he competes for the league, or he competes in the Champions League, well, mainly the league, but if, goes far in the Champions League, then I'll keep him here. For me, 6 years, yeah, you haven't been winning trophies along the way. That would be acceptable if he was in year 3, for example, right? But you haven't been winning trophies along the way. So therefore, Arteta has to win one of the big ones next season. And I just don't see us as a football club going out there and being serious about it. And it's the same old thing with Arsenal.
Yeah, but if you say wages are a reason why we can't sign a top player, that's madness to me. If anyone says to me now that, oh yeah, we can't sign Gyökeres because we've got Havertz on 285, I'll lose the plot. And that makes zero sense to me. I don't care if Havertz is on 285 or Jesus is on 265. Why do I care?
Yeah. And
what difference does it make to me or anyone?
You're absolutely right. But what we all know is Arsenal as a football club, yeah, we don't do this Man City, this PSG style type thing where we have loads and loads of players on big wages. Right? I know we have at the moment, but we don't tend to do that. We go down this self-sustaining route. You can't self-sustain if you've got every single one of your players on 100 grand a week plus. How is that self-sustaining?
No, but what I'm saying is you're talking about one or two.
We don't care as fans. I get that. We don't.
Havertz is going to play next year. We all know he's going to play. Don't think Havertz is going to be on the bench. He's going to play. If he takes Odegaard's spot or he plays up front, he's going to play. And Jesus is not going to play. So Jesus, I'm assuming, is on the way out. He's just injured at the minute. If he wasn't injured, he'd be on the market.
Yeah, we can't sell him until January. So he's going to be on our wage books until January at the very least.
Yeah. He's going to be on our wage books. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of all the ins and outs and everything and all the politics and all the reading between the lines, the end of the day is we need about 3 or 4 players to start in this team. That is as simple as that. Not everyone has to be on £300,000 a week. You can go and buy players that would probably end up starting in this team that are capable of creating what we need. Players like Mohamed Kudus, that's going to cost a big transfer fee. Players like Semenyo, players like Cunha, players like Liam Delap, who cost 40 million at Chelsea, that we could have bought, that we could have said, okay, even if we don't end up getting our main striker, we've got him in the team anyway. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the only reason why you leave the transfer window to the last few days is if so you can get deals, so you can get cheaper and you can get bargains. That's the only reason. I want to go into that stage looking at deals like you do normally. We've got all the big things in. Then towards the end of the transfer window, now we can start doing some deals. That's how I like to look at it, like a market.
Just to back up your point as well, right? The last time Arsenal were proactive,
Brandon, I think you got a fuzz, man. I think if you
you got a fuzz, Brandon,
mic,
your microphone. Might want to come, plug it out and plug it in. Look, man, I wanted to bring that up because Ben Jacobs has literally just tweeted out that obviously Rodrigo is someone that we're interested in. We hold a genuine interest in him. We've held exploratory talks on the player side dating back to May, and we understand that Real Madrid want around 90 million euros. Now, I don't know if that's true and that Real Madrid want 90 million or if they even want to sell Rodrigo, right? But surely, guys, if that is an opportunity for us, he has to be an Arsenal player. There is no other left winger on this market right now that is at that level of elite. There was only Kvaratskhelia who went in January. Rodrigo is the other one. Yeah, all of the others, the Lookmans and the Semenyos and the Mitomas and Rafael Leao's, they're all good wingers. Yeah, Nico Williams has called wicked. If we don't get Rodrigo, I'm genuinely concerned because I don't see any of those that are elite level that are a massive upgrade on Martinelli. But I don't know what you think as a panel for this left wing position, man.
You know, the thing about Rodrigo, I think if he comes in, there's an argument that he's our best player. And I just don't know what other market opportunities there are to bring in someone that will be our best player. Zubimendi's not going to be in our top 5. If we were to bring in, like you say, someone like a Kudus, someone like a Semenyo, they're not going to be in our top 5. If you're talking about our best players, I'm talking about Saka, Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice. I want players that are going to be up there, that are going to excite me. If we bring in Sesko or Gyökeres, they're exciting players. I'd rather Gyökeres. But I don't think Gyökeres is even in our top 4, top 5. A player like Rodrigo, his quality, his experience, how clinical he is in front of goal, what he does in the Champions League, what he does on big stages. If that's an opportunity, we have to do it. I see it like Alexis Sanchez. Alexis Sanchez was available at Barcelona. We went and got him. He became our best player, right? We all still love Alexis Sanchez for what he did at Arsenal. He was quality at Arsenal. Rodrigo is in the same bracket as Sanchez was. Like I say, if there's an opportunity to go and get him, I don't care what it costs. If you've got to pay over the odds, if you've got to pay 100 mil, 110, go and get him. If you want to be serious, go and get him. I have a friend that is a massive Real Madrid fan. My friend Sully, right? He goes to most Real Madrid games. He lives in Spain. I pretty much asked him, how would you feel if Rodrigo left? Would you be all right? Because obviously you got backup, you got Mbappe, you got Vinicius. There's other players that obviously play across the front line, Bellingham. He said out of all those players, he is their most important player. He is the player that he rates the most.
Yeah,
and a lot of Real Madrid fans saying this online. Exactly. Bellingham said it in an interview. He said that Rodrigo is the most underrated player in this team. Gabriel, you saw having words with Andrea Berta. Said to him, this guy's, I don't know what was the word he used, like a sensation or whatever
phenomenal,
it was.
Yeah, phenomenal, I think.
Phenomenon, whatever. If this guy is available, go and get him. Pay whatever it takes and bring him in.
Ben Jacobs is saying 90 million, right? I think that's a steal. That's euros. So that's about what, 78 million? Something like that. That is ridiculous, man. I don't know what your thoughts are about this, Matty, because I know that you're quite sort of ruthless when it comes to transfers. If we're talking left wingers, he's the only one that excites me out of the list of the names. Because Nico Williams didn't excite me. A lot of people said that they thought that would be a brilliant signing, but Rodrigo is levels on Nico Williams, Matt.
It's a no-brainer. But the problem is Real Madrid is not going to let him go. I mean, I hear what Ben Jacobs is saying, but we got to keep in mind, a new coach just came in the door. What's the odds of him letting him go out of that team immediately? This goes back once again. I know nobody wants to hear it. Last summer, the money was there, and this is why I get the This is why I'm kind of getting tired of repeating it over and over. We've had money. This is when you need money. So when you need to go throw money down and say, "Hey, 115 right here. Here we go." Now everybody's saying, "Oh well, we got to try to find the money. We got to look around." Then what you said is correct. 75 million for a player like that in the world. That's you get that done. But the problem goes back to what? Wages. I know D don't want to hear it, but these wages are gonna keep showing up. We've got players that should be moved on. Martinelli, if you telling me you will move Martinelli for Rodrigo, absolutely. We're going. That's an upgrade. That's a positional upgrade. But the problem is we've put ourselves in situations to where when these opportunities pop up, we're not able to make a move on them. We're tied up still. We're tied up trying to get it straight. We have a problem at this football, chewing gum and walking. We have a problem. We're going to mess right around here. I'm telling y'all what's going to happen. We're going to mess right around here. It's going to be the 11th hour. We're going to get some weird signing. We know we do for a weird signing. I don't know who it is. I can't tell you well, but we know we get these strange signings. Sterling on loan. We get them kind of signings out of nowhere. In addition to whatever the big one is. Now, hopefully it's the Kepa one. That's the weird one for the year. And it's not a position we need because this football club specializes in that foolishness.
So true.
If
there's always one weird one at least.
I'm telling y'all now, Kim Castro broke back. I'm telling y'all, we've seen this stuff. This is that
was the one, man.
This is a known fact. You know, it's a chat saying
Louise. He was one.
Rashford.
Willian.
Yep. Might even be this Garnacho. I'm praying to God it ain't Garnacho. Because if it's Garnacho, I'm going to do a 24-hour stream on my channel. I'm going to do a 24-hour stream. But in all seriousness, our dealings in the transfer market, the last couple of windows are coming back to get us now. We should be that should be a no-brainer. If the man's available, I'm saying if the man's available. Do I think he's coming? No, I don't. I really honestly.
The only thing about it, Matty, is the only thing about Arsenal fans. What we always do, we always get wrapped up in one or two players, and we focus on those. That's
exactly what we do. We've done it. Go ahead, D.
Yeah, that's what we end up doing. But the thing is, what we always forget is if Rodrigo's on the market, every single team in the world is going for him. Every single team.
D. That's what. Brandon, how many times have we said that last year, and we said that you think everybody else is not going to be active in the transfer market? This is what we're talking about. He's going to have 2 or 3 different teams in, and now it becomes a bidding war. Does Arsenal like bidding wars? No way, absolutely not. We'll pivot away and go to the next cheapest option. We'll move down. We'll just start tearing down. This is why I said what I said earlier. When you want these kind of players, you have to. The fan base en masse has to stand up and say, this is the standard of player that we need. When we get Mikel Merino in the team and everybody's bigging it up, everybody's celebrating. Yeah, this is it. We've got him. Yeah. You know, the management hears that. And so they say, oh, they'll take that. But when everybody comes out en masse and say, you know what? This is the player we need. This is what we need. It's just like when you start hearing Sesko, folks, even the likes of Miguel. Oh, wait a minute. We need Jokers. Jokers needs to be in this team. You know, you start hearing people turn. It has to be en masse. Not much is going to change this year without the fan base deciding to turn and say,
you know the problem with that, Matt. You know the problem with that, Matt, is, do you know, like when you're at school and you're playing like football and you're like got everybody, those that don't want to do PE one side, those that do want to do PE the other, and then you back 2 captains on the school field, and you keep picking, and then you're left right at the end with the geek with the glasses who don't want to play football,
and the guy with those shoes,
yeah, exactly, the guy with those shoes. So for me, right, we've got a situation where left wing is a problem at Chelsea, at Arsenal, at Man City, at Bayern Munich, and potentially at Liverpool if they get rid of Diaz. And there's Rodrigo available. There's a striker situation where there's only a handful that everyone wants. Liverpool are looking at a 9, Man United are looking at a 9, Arsenal are looking at a 9, Chelsea are looking at a 9, Barcelona are looking at a 9. My point is there's 5 or 6 big clubs that want 3 or 4 players. We have to move fast or we're going to be left with the nerdy kid with the glasses, man.
Definitely.
You know the thing about that as well. I agree with you, Matt. Look, there's going to be so many teams in for these players. But there's apparently a lot of teams in for Gyökeres. But then Romano comes out and says that he's made Arsenal his priority. Now,
yeah, but why haven't we signed him then?
Yeah, and also
because we're Arsenal. If we're going to sign him, it's not going to happen until the last week. Like,
it's all well and good him making us his priority. How does that help anything?
No, it's true. It's true. I'm just saying it's interesting that we do have that pool that a player would say out of any team in Europe, pretty much that he could sign for. come on, most teams at the moment would take Gyökeres.
No, we're a good project. We're a good project.
For him to come out and say Arsenal's my priority is good, right?
Yeah.
Maybe another thing as well. We played against Sporting this season, right? He played against us. We battered them 5-1. Sometimes that is a thing. I've seen players come out before and say, you know, I played against them. They were so like the way they played, like the atmosphere. Obviously, we didn't play at the Emirates. But Rodrigo, on the other hand, right? He played at the Emirates. They got battered 3-0. We went to the Bernabeu. He played against us twice this season, right? We even beat them at the Bernabeu. He barely got a touch. So hopefully that might be a little thing in his mind saying this is a serious team, right? We're Real Madrid. They battered us twice this year. They knocked us out of the Champions League. If I was to go join them, who's to say that we couldn't kick on and win the Champions League? Because I'm one of their problem areas. They need a left winger. Cool. If I see they're bringing in Gyökeres, which is another one of their problem areas, the striker and the left winger, that looks like a finished project to me. That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping is, you know, in his mind saying, you know, these are the two little missing pieces of the puzzle. If there's a striker going and I go. So look, I don't know why else Gyökeres would come out and say, you know, we're his priority.
But that's the issue though. Because you see, what we think we need and what the manager or the team think we need are two different things. So we might say we need a left winger and a striker. Arteta's looking at it like he's got Martinelli and Trossard. If he gets Rodrigo, that's 3 left wingers that he's going to have in his team. Trossard's just signed a new deal. Martinelli's a youngster. You got to look at it like, how much does he really want Rodrigo?
Yeah, but I think he wants a left winger though, D, because ever since he become manager, he's been trying.
Well, because of Mudryk.
He's been trying to replace Martinelli. I don't think he's sold on Martinelli.
He got Trossard. He did get Trossard instead of Mudryk.
Yeah, but
he only wanted Mudryk. We didn't have Trossard yet when he wanted Mudryk. So there is an argument that we don't even get a left winger.
That's how I'm seeing it.
That's and I said this last week to somebody. I said, wouldn't surprise me if we start the season with most of these players, with maybe 1 or 2 additions at best.
Definitely.
Because the situation we in. And guess what? That's coming out of last season. We're still short. We're back to square one again. What Brandon was saying earlier. We're right back to square one again.
Well, I know for a fact Havertz ain't going on the bench. I know that for a fact. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. Yeah, that's one thing I know for a fact. And I know for a fact.
Playing, Mendy? Where's he playing?
Who, Havertz? Yeah. This is the $1 million question. I've got no idea, but I know he's playing.
Mm.
There's no way on earth Havertz is starting on the bench if we sign Sesko, for example, I guarantee you Sesko doesn't play for about 5, 6.
Knowing
days.
This manager,
guaranteed.
Knowing this manager, he'll put him out there on the left wing. Wouldn't surprise me.
Havertz plays. Havertz is definitely playing. I wouldn't mind Havertz playing instead of Odegaard, for example. Or I wouldn't mind Havertz playing.
Havertz can't play. He's not good enough.
I guarantee he plays.
He's not good enough though.
We
can all agree.
He does more for us than Odegaard does.
No, what? Come on, Odegaard had a bad second half of the season.
We don't have time for that, bro. We ain't got time for us.
Is it fair to say this is probably going to be like game week 1? This is going to be our 11.
Right there, man. That's right there. That is.
I mean, like.
Well, you got to take Zubimendi out of there, man. I don't know where's this Zubimendi in the team coming from.
Yeah, but the thing is,
the
thing is, right? I don't think we're signing Partey again. I think Zubimendi is Partey's replacement in this club's mind.
Yeah, but Jorginho's gone as well. We need someone else.
Yeah, but we'll probably go and do a cheapskate deal with Chelsea like we always do. Or something like that.
This is the same. This is the same team. This is the same team. This team here is exactly the same team. To me, Zubimendi is not even better than Partey. So this is exactly the same team.
Yeah, but also,
you know what this team is? This team is another second or third, isn't it?
It's third. This is third, fourth right here.
So how do we turn this? Like, forget strength in depth, because if you buy players in, that first 11 becomes your depth. So how do we make this second team? How do we turn that into a winning team for you? What positions are we upgrading?
You take Havertz out first of all.
Okay, so let's do that then. So we put what you want, Gyökeres?
Put Gyökeres up front, yeah.
Has to be not Sesko, because I don't even think Sesko's that much of an upgrade.
So Sesko,
Rodrigo left wing.
Gyökeres comes in.
Rodrigo left wing is. Do you think we're gonna get? Do you think we're gonna? Well, that's what you're saying that you want, or you're
I don't think we probably won't.
Oh, okay. I'm
just saying to turn this into a title winning team.
I've got to be honest. I think Odegaard has to hold bench as well. I think.
And that needs to be for Havertz.
I think we need to be looking
definitely
for a player. I ain't gonna lie.
But that's a problem area. We need.
I think pre-season will be telling on Odegaard.
Oh,
If we see Odegaard back to his best, then he can start.
Odegaard is our tempo setter, yeah. But what's the point of having a tempo setter when you've got no people that can put the ball in the net? If we got these two players, then it makes sense to have Odegaard in the team because we've got killers up front. If we've got no killers up front, what's the point of having a tempo setter?
Yeah, but either way, whether we've got Odegaard firing again and back to his original form or not, we still need another creative player in this team.
Yep.
So who are we signing?
But what level of creative player are you talking about?
Who are we signing? That's what I want to know. I don't want to be taking out Odegaard and putting in someone we've already got. I want to be taking out Odegaard because we've signed someone amazing.
Exactly.
I'm talking about a 10 because let's be honest, Ethan Nwaneri's going to be covered for Bukayo Saka on the right hand side. The manager had no interest in using Ethan in the 10 position when Odegaard was out. So we're assuming that he prefers Ethan out on the right hand side. So, let's say we go into the season and Odegaard doesn't pick up form or he gets injured again. Who's coming in?
That's our problem, man.
Yeah, what he will do, I know what he will do. He will play. If we do get this team, Nwaneri will be back up to Saka, Trossard will be back up to Odegaard, and Martinelli will be back up to Rodrigo. That's because he's got this thing of playing Trossard in the 10 when he's terrible. But to me, Havertz and Odegaard should be fighting for that position because Havertz, as much as he's not our favourite player, he doesn't let us down, and Odegaard does. So
Arteta likes to do this thing where players back up more than one position.
What do you mean he doesn't let us down?
Havertz never lets us down.
Sorry, say it again.
Who am I talking to?
What do you mean he never let us down?
How does Havertz doesn't let us down? How does he let us down?
Well, he lets us down in the sense that he got moved to the 9 position because he was no good in the midfield. And Mikel Merino, who's never played in the 9, outscored him.
I don't understand. So what are you saying?
Havertz is dreadful, man.
Well, Mikel Merino and Havertz. Well, they did the similar
Mikel
thing.
Merino, who's never ever played up front before, right, can score goals for fun in this Arsenal team. Then I expect Havertz to score goals when he's in the 9. The point that I'm getting to is when you say he doesn't let us down.
All right, letting us down. When you say let us down, to me, Havertz is not the problem in our team. He's only the problem when he's the main man.
Havertz is a major problem, and I want to show you where he's a major problem at. This is the fact that we've got to try to figure out where he needs to go. Well, we're trying to figure out we should be able to point and say Havertz his best position is right here.
We don't need to figure it out, man. He needs to go on the transfer list.
We spent top dollar for Havertz. And I told y'all, I just told y'all, I said the transfer windows of the past are not coming back to haunt us. Because, see, we didn't spend that kind of money for 65 million for that to try to figure out where he needs to go. We could probably get somebody and move somebody in that position. See, this is what I'm saying. Our transfer business, on the surface, a lot of times, our fan base don't see the transfer right then. They see, oh, man, this is great. We got him in. The body's here, And then 3 years later, we have...
It's not the 65 million, Matty. It's the 280 grand a week.
Yeah, but when Havertz wasn't playing, we missed him.
Missed him?
Well, when he was there. What about against United in the FA Cup when he missed?
We can have goals.
He's literally the sole reason we didn't win that game. He's also the sole reason we
Martinelli's more of a problem
against Newcastle. The semi-final. Go back.
Martinelli and Odegaard are two bigger problems than Havertz.
The manager, when we were short,
we've got two problems bigger than Havertz.
When we were short on the striker, when we were short and we need an attacking option to move. Let's move.
Hold on. Who do you think is a bigger letdown? Martinelli and Odegaard and Havertz. Rank them.
Havertz by far.
Oh, you're going crazy.
Hang on. You just said when we didn't have Havertz, we missed him, right? Yeah,
didn't miss him at all.
No, I want you to answer that question. Answer that question though. Out of those 3 players, which 3 players were bigger issues for us this season?
For this season,
this season gone.
Odegaard 100%. Yeah,
100%. And then who?
Havertz.
And then Havertz.
Oh no way.
Yeah. Well, D, I just explained to you, right, how Mikel Merino outscored him, right, who'd never played striker before. Also, when you said that we missed Havertz, well, we didn't miss him against Real Madrid when we knocked them out over 2 legs. We didn't miss him for large parts of the season. Because Mikel Merino was doing the job up front to a good enough standard, if not the same standard, maybe even slightly better.
Same type of standard.
What did we miss about it?
Right, but what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, what we needed to do was find another version of what Havertz was doing for us. That's what we had to do. We didn't change a completely different player and put in a tricky, because we had strikers on the bench. We had Butler, Adeji. We had players like Martinelli that could have got up front. We didn't do that. We tried to replace what we're missing. That's the point. So what we did, we went like for like. Yeah. And the difference is Mourinho can't press like Havertz, but he can. He ended up becoming a player that we didn't even know you could.
Let me say this: Mourinho's end product, right? And Mourinho's end product is better than Havertz. Mourinho's finishing,
but we found that out because we tried to replicate Havertz. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah, I get that. But what the point, again, the point that we want to make is since Havertz come into the team, right? The whole point of Havertz signing for Arsenal was he was supposed to be the missing piece for us to go and win a major trophy.
I don't think anyone thought that, though. No, Arsenal thought that.
He was supposed to be the Xhaka replacement. That's what he was brought in for.
The issue, he was Xhaka's replacement. The issue is Odegaard and Martinelli are the two biggest issues in this team.
So, D, if there was a bid that came in 60 million for Havertz and 60 million for Odegaard, would you accept the Odegaard one and keep Havertz?
60 million?
Yeah.
No, the reason why I wouldn't is because I feel like if we had a striker, then that could negate what Odegaard's doing. I don't think Havertz can negate being in that position. But I'm saying, as a player, as the players who's let us down the most, it's easily by far and away Odegaard.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the same boat as you, mate. I'll be honest with you. I don't rate Odegaard at all. There's a lot of people that do. I don't rate him at all. As a number 10, I expect you.
I do rate him. I just think
I think he's a good player, but I don't rate what he's about on the football pitch. And what I mean by that is, I think he is so naive in terms of his position and his positional. The positions he picks up on the pitch is unreal. Like drift out to the right. Never ever do I see that guy drift out to the left. Try and come centrally. None of that. It's always right. And it becomes so predictable and so boring. Is that down to the manager and the manager's instructions? Potentially. Or is it just down to the fact that Odegaard is actually a natural number 8 and not a creative midfielder at all?
I think Odegaard, personally, I think Odegaard is the man that plays second to whoever the main man is. He's the person that complements that player. So this is why I say if we need to get a creative 10 and just what Brandon just said, move him over there, then he may actually turn out to be halfway decent. But us relying on him to be the main man is absolutely not going to happen, because that's not who he is. He's never been the main man. Never.
Look, I've got to be honest, I'm an Odegaard fan. I've not been an Odegaard fan this season. A lot of people have called me out about it. I've done my best to defend him, and I've struggled. I think he's had a really bad season. Havertz, for me, is just a number 9 that's used as a squad rotation player. I don't think he's a starter for me. And if I'm honest with you, if we got 2 players in, like you was to say to me, here's Isak and Wirtz, then Odegaard and Havertz get nowhere near the first team, right? So it's got to be about who we get in. There's got to be a level ahead. And there's no point bringing in somebody that's going to be... got no chance of getting into that first team. As for squad players and cover, I've got no problem with that. You're going to need a backup goalkeeper. If someone of your defenders goes, you're going to need to bring in a backup defender. Likewise, this party situation, which I still don't understand why it's not sorted, by the way, because he's our player. Just keep him. Yeah, what we doing? Obviously, if Zubamendi comes in, that's great. That's Jorginho covered and now we're upgraded on. How do we upgrade on party? Well, Zubamendi isn't even an upgrade on party, so now we're short in midfield again. So, I don't know, there's a lot of our stuff Arsenal got to do here, and we are being very, very slow. I don't want to have a Gyökeres and Sesko debate. I think we all stand very similarly on that one, that we need a player that's coming in. It needs to be a player that's ready now. I don't think that Sesko is ready now, albeit he might be a good striker. I don't think he's going to take us to new elite levels. So, I've just got to be honest with that. I think what my biggest concern at the moment is that we've got Liverpool and Manchester City that looking like they've got a very strong squad. Now, I've got no doubt that they're both going to be in a title race, and I thought they would be already. Where I'm looking at is I think we're closer to Chelsea and Newcastle at the moment than we are Liverpool and Manchester City. Now, that could change in the next couple of weeks if we get the business right. But right now, people are saying Arteta's got to win the league or he's got to go. Well, he ain't getting anywhere near the league if this carries on with this team, because this is a nowhere near good enough side. We've just put the 11 out. It ain't changed from last year other than Zubamendi. That's what one we're expecting it to be on the first game of the season. So there's a hell of a lot of work on this one, right? And I'm actually going to do something I don't normally do, and that's not talk about the manager for a second, because I think everyone knows where I'm at with the manager. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's going to get us across the line. I know Christian and D believe that he will, and that's calm. I want to look at our owners, because our owners get forgotten about and not spoken about for so long. And I think that if I was taking over a football club the size of Arsenal in 2008, and by 2025 I'd have 3 FA Cups to show for it, that is a complete and utter failure on all levels. A club the size of Arsenal. Now, if you've taken over Everton and you've won 4 FA Cups in 18 years, I'd say you've done pretty well. Not Arsenal. Do we need to be actually like talking a little bit more about them and actually putting some more pressure on them? Or is everyone just happy with second place and let's go again because we ain't 8th anymore?
What you just said. What you just said.
I've said this for a long time, though, Dan.
You just said.
Yeah? The owners came out themselves. Like, okay, it's not Josh, because Josh now is apparently the one who runs Arsenal Football Club and not Stan. But all them years ago, we all remember the newspaper article, right? When Kroenke came out in an interview and said, "I did not buy Arsenal to win trophies." That still stands. Nothing's changed. You know, the transfer markets and the players that we've signed in over the years proves that as well. We did better business in the transfer window when we was in the Europa League. Why? Because we was out of the Champions League, and Arsenal being out of the Champions League is no good to these owners, because if we're out of the Champions League, they're not getting their money. Now we're in the Champions League and qualifying consistently. Why do they care about winning trophies? Trophies are a bonus to them. You know, if Mikel Arteta gets this Arsenal side to win a trophy next season, it's a bonus. They're not desperate to win trophies. If they were, they'd be going out there right now saying, "Okay, cool. Rodrigo, how much is it? 100 mil? Cool. We drop that." Yeah. Oh, what you want? You want 250 a week, Rodrigo? But you know, other clubs are offering you a little bit more, 220. We'll give you 250. Yeah, we'll do this. They should be going out there and going the extra mile to make sure that this Arsenal team is ready to challenge on all.
They've backed Arteta though, man. They've backed him, man.
They've backed him, yeah. But they backed him more when we was in the Europa League than what he has done since we've been in the Champions League. Yeah, all right, we signed Declan Rice and Kai Havertz for big money. But as I said, look at the signings that we made when we was in the Europa League and then compare them to what we've made since we've been in the Champions League. It's night and day. We signed Aubameyang. Yeah, not under Arteta, but we signed Aubameyang, we signed Lacazette, we signed Thomas Partey when we was in the Europa League. Yeah, we signed all these players when we was in the Europa League. What are we doing now? We're in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
You know what one of the main problems about this is, and I agree with you, Dan. The owners are a problem. I see them all. Trust me, I know. I'm right over here where it is. The main problem is the fan base. The fan base has accepted just challenging. We should be winning at this stage. And we had 3 years flat out that everybody should have been demanding. There should have been smoke. There should have been flames. There should have been demanding protests. Everybody was fine with just competing. Everybody was just fine being at the dance. Didn't get the girl, but you was at the dance. You got a phone number, the wrong phone number. Didn't get the girl. You know? And that's what everybody was fine with. And so now that we're at the 11th hour, everybody wants this change all of a sudden. When Arsenal Football Club can roll out 30, 40 different pieces of merch a year this season, and people are laughing. Al Bundy varsity jackets. They're selling Al Bundy varsity jackets.
Facts.
And then people out there buying these varsity jackets. They're buying hoodies. They're buying
training kits out now, Matty. New training kits.
I heard about that. Yeah, that came out this week. Yeah, another one dropped this week. And then they're out there selling stuff that we used to win in. They're selling kits and stuff that we used to win in. Reselling those. True. You know, and people are lapping it up. People are jumping all over the place. When it's time, this ownership will not. I'm telling you this as an American, as a person who has seen it firsthand over here, until the fan base decides that they've had enough of it. Because I saw it this year with the Rams. The Rams were supposed to be some competitor, supposed to be, challenging in the playoffs, whatever. And then they started raising hell. What did they do? Went out and bought the best available players. Went out and got it sorted out. And until Arsenal fans start doing that, and stop. Oh yeah, man, we'll compete 5-1 against Madrid. We only lost 3-1 to PSG. We lost to the champions. We were close. You know, until that mentality changes, this ownership won't change.
I agree with you, but I think the Berta coming in, I'm waiting to see madness. I don't think you bring someone like him without madness. I think after the window, if I see no madness, then you can go.
With Berta, you're going to naturally have to wait a year. You're going to have to wait a year.
Why?
For him to get sorted out.
Why?
Because, all right, I'll tell you what. By that logic, then why are we still waiting on Arteta after 6 years?
No, but we're not talking about Berta. You're talking about someone else.
But I just say we're gonna use that logic and say
no. You don't need to use that logic on another situation. You said Berta. We have to wait a year, and I'm asking you why. You're talking about other stuff.
If the man has got to come in looking at that wage bill and get all that sorted out.
He's been there since March. He's had 3 months to look at the wage bill.
Everybody's saying that the new calendar year doesn't start to July 1st. When does he actually start work?
So that again?
He started work.
He started in March.
Okay, so what I'm saying here is, if the man just got in the door, just literally walked in the door, and and we're looking at the wage bill, the way it's constructed, and then he's got to try to tie. Also, people forget he still has to try to tie up Saliba. That still has to get done. That's going under the radar since we're in the transfer window. He has to try to get that done. He's got to try to bring in this striker. We got to try to bring in the left winger. We got to go through all this.
Yeah, that's your job. Is
he getting all that done in one window?
You don't get credit. You don't get credit for doing what you're supposed to do.
So why is Arteta getting all the credit? This is
you keep talking about something else. So I'm saying
I want you to see how the same thing applies.
No, but we can talk about that. We can talk about another time. I'm saying we've gone and hired a sporting director for a reason. One of the best in the world, a serious guy for a reason. So it's the equivalent of hiring a Jose Mourinho or a Conte. You bring them in to win now. You don't bring them in to wait 2-3 years.
I think you're being a bit harsh in the sense that, right, what Berta's come into and what he's got to deal with is the consequences of Arsenal over the last few transfer windows, right?
He's got an easy job. His job's not hard. His job's easy.
No, it's not. It's not.
He's got an easy job. You come in there, you got to just sign 2 or 3 top players for us.
It's only an easy job if you haven't got your hands tied behind your back, right? He's got his hands tied behind his back with this wage bill, as Matt pointed out. He's got his hands tied behind his back because we don't know whether these owners, as of yet, are actually willing to spend the money in this summer transfer market. Right? We thought they would have done that last summer, and they never did. So we don't really know what's going on at the moment to be able to be pushing blame on Berta. The thing that I want to say is, right, when Arteta walked into the job, he said something that we all like, which is maximise every transfer window. Arsenal haven't maximised the last 4 transfer windows, when you include January's. So that is the consequence of where we are as a football club right now, where we need this player, we need that player, we need this player, and we need that player, because we haven't done enough in the previous transfer markets. So to put all of that on Berta and say, Berta, you're the man, you've got to get this done now, I think we could be looking at the football club and saying, well, the reason why we're in this mess is because of you fuckers, not because of this guy.
No, obviously, but I think him coming in. So what's he coming in for? What is he coming in?
I get that, but to sit there and say that Berta needs to get his finger out, and if he doesn't do enough in this summer transfer window, he can leave. I think you're looking in the wrong place. I think you need to start looking at the people that have been here for a long while and haven't done what has been required, rather than the new guy that's just set foot through the door and has barely been given an opportunity.
Are we saying then? This would be a nice sort of closing question, right? Are we saying Mikel Arteta has to win something, whatever, or are we going to use again the excuse that we haven't had a good enough window, so we can't blame him, and he can't win anything with his team because it's not good enough? Where are we at? Because there's a lot of people talking about this. Berta's got pressure and all that, and I get that, and he should have pressure. Everyone should in their job, right? But if Berta comes in and the window's like okay, if Berta comes in, the window's great, then there's serious pressure. I mean, there's pressure anyway, but he has to deliver. But I think Arteta's got to win something anyway, because this team's good enough to win a trophy. It might not be good enough to win a Champions League guaranteed or a Premier League guaranteed, because you can't guarantee it, right? But if Ten Hag can win, and Ange can win, and Glasner can win, and Howe can win, and Slot can win, this guy can win surely with this team. This team
Arteta's under the most pressure he's ever going to experience or he's ever been under, especially at this club so far in these 5-6 years he's been there. He's under the most pressure he's ever been under. But if Berta does his job and gets the players that we believe, I'm not talking about Arteta, I'm talking about what we believe is a good window. Arteta's got zero excuses.
He's got zero excuses anyway.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is the fact of the matter is, if we're talking about two completely different things here, they've got two completely different jobs. People like to say, yeah, if that's the case, well, what about Arteta? It's two different jobs. Berta's job is to come in, sign the players, get the job, get them tied up, and sell the right players. Arteta's job is to win titles and to win trophies.
And there's no excuse for the board not to help Berta do his job to the best he can. We literally have the most informed striker in Europe, one of the most sought after strikers in Europe, saying his priority is Arsenal. Right, that will be telling. If we don't end this window with Sesko or Gyökeres and we get third choice Ollie Watkins, that will be telling. And it really wouldn't surprise me if we did. So don't get me wrong. I agree with what you're saying. The pressure is 100% on Arteta. If he doesn't win this season, I'm not going to scream and shout and say I hate him and Arteta out. But I will say respectfully, it's time to go. We'll bring in the next guy to try and do a job. But in terms of Berta, I agree, man. No one's bringing in a sporting director to take it easy and not do anything. His job is literally to sell and sign players. All right, we've seen Gabriel now sign a new contract. We're hearing about Zubimendi coming in. We're hearing about Kepa. It just needs to. They need to be. How many times are we saying this over and over again? They need to be serious in this window. Back this manager again. I know he has been backed. Back this sporting director, because next season the pressure's on for everyone, man. It's not just Arteta. The pressure's on for a lot of these players. Players like Odegaard that people do doubt.
Yep, 100%.
Martinelli, if he's still there next season. Even players like Ben White, is he going to be in the team next? I know I'm going a little bit off topic, but there's pressure on these players, and I think a lot of fans' opinions are going to start turning about a lot of things if we don't compete and win next season.
Yeah, he's got to win regardless. And I know what you're saying, Dan. You know about. You don't think the squad's good enough to win the Champions League? Why not? We were the better team against PSG according to our manager. So why are we not good enough to win the Champions League? Do you know what I mean? I also think there is like people talk about the injuries and how we make it as an excuse or whatever. I do think there is a certain level of truth to that. I think that if we didn't get as many key players injured as what we did this season, then we probably would have been a little bit closer to Liverpool. So the squad has the capabilities to win trophies, win big trophies even. And
it has the capability to be close.
Yeah, to be close.
If you look at that team that Dan put up earlier with Havertz and Martinelli, I think that team finishes maybe second. With the signings that Liverpool and City have made already, that team probably finishes third, maybe even fourth with the signings that Chelsea and Newcastle are probably going to make as well. But if you put Gyökeres up front, you put Rodrigo on the left, you bring in some more reinforcements in the squad, that team can challenge. Like you're saying, Dan, it's not guaranteed to win the league. We're seeing Man City bring in Reinders, bring in Cherky. Who else are they bringing in? They brought in Marmoush in January. Ait Nouri. They finally got a left. Man City haven't had a left back for how many years? Guardiola's been playing there. He's not a left back. Liverpool have gone and brought in the most sought after attacking midfielder in Europe. Like, these teams mean business. They're going to win next season. Last season was the best chance we had in a long time to win the league. And don't get me wrong, injuries didn't help. But I still don't think we were strong enough at the start of the season to say we were the best team in the league. We were maybe on par, just below Liverpool.
Yeah.
And look, if we don't sort it this summer, we're going to be third, maybe fourth best in the league.
Looks like Liverpool are all over Isak as well, by the way.
Exactly. And it's not even just about like when people say win the league and stuff like that. I think it's about, for once, being happy and feeling like, we've got a squad capable of doing some real thought on the title. It's not just about, we want to win the league. We know we all want to win the league. We all want to win trophies. But I'm saying, for once, I don't think I've ever gone into a season feeling like, our squad's complete. And like, this squad is ready to challenge seriously. We can always not win the league and you'd be like, it's unlucky. And things happen over the course of a season. But for once, I want to go into the season and be like, this squad looks like it is going to take some real beating to beat them. And I don't feel like that. We've always got missing pieces, or 2 or 3 missing pieces.
This,
And I don't want
always
to
Last
short.
season we were close. We were closer than we've
Always
ever been.
short.
But we all know
we
we
were
were
three
close.
players away from being like complete.
But we always felt Havertz is not good enough. We always
No,
felt.
I agree. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But we were
right now.
close,
We
man.
know Rice is good enough. We know Partey is good enough. We know Zubimendi is good enough, but we think Odegaard might not be good enough. We know Saka's good enough, but Havertz might not. Martinelli might not. Our defense and goalkeeper, nobody complains about. Everybody's happy about our whole back line from goalkeeper to right back, centre backs, and left back. And our left back is 18.
Even the depth in our defense. You look at Ben White. You look at Kiwior now. You look at
Everyone's happy with that.
Yeah, it's
up
true.
to the 6, and then the 8, and then the right winger. We've got 3 positions that were debatable. But if we go left winger striker, top class, people will be like, you know what? I don't mind Odegaard. We'll see how he goes on because we've got the left winger and striker there. But we can't go in there with a left winger striker and attacking midfielder that we need. 3. That's too many positions.
I think that our window is starting to close. I think personally, if we would have acted with urgency the year we bottled the league there, I think we just came back that next season was all chips in front on the table. I think that was the year we should have went heavy, hard in the paint.
Yeah,
and I think
we'd have 2 league titles now if
I'm telling.
they invested like City have invested in the past, like Chelsea have invested.
And you got to remember, Christian, as well. PSG.
This is why
got Kvaratskhelia in January, and it helped them. And they had a chance to say, you know what? It's not always about maybe we've got a better deal. It's about once you've got an opportunity to do something great, go and give them the tool to do something great. You only get one chance in life sometimes.
Can I just say though, do people not understand this is why I back Arteta? Because we're saying we had our chance, right? We were so close. The team he built was great. It was very, very, very good, and it was so close, right? And we're saying if they had backed, like City have backed, like Chelsea have backed, like United have backed, and just did that bit extra, we'd have 2 league titles. This manager, if he was backed, just that, and I know he was backed, but 5th highest net spend in the Premier League isn't backed like other teams have been backed. Do people not understand? That's why I rate this guy as a manager.
I understand your point, but I'm gonna contradict that a little bit because I also think that the manager cost us.
Yeah,
with certain.
Kai Havertz, it was his biggest mistake in his Arsenal career.
That's what's going to do me. That's what's going to do me. The Kai Havertz.
Definitely.
I just need to plug my computer in. 1 second.
Let me just come with these super chats before we come to a close because I do need to finish because I'm supposed to be on a show at 7 and it's 10 past. Cliff says, lads, if our owners were worth shit, we would have sacked the gaff as soon as Andrea Berta came in. Fresh start. All that's going to happen now is the same old story. Will we bottle and ban at FC? Well, he's got 1 more year. I mean, for me, he'd be gone already. A lot of people disagree, and those that do disagree say he's got 1 more year, and that's it. Canadian Gooner says, if we get Sesko and he flops, what do we do? This is a really good question, actually, because Sesko is wanted massively by Arteta. If we get any striker and they flop, I really don't know how anyone can defend Arteta because every striker we've had has been no good. Havertz, Jesus, Eddie Nketiah, Lacazette, even Aubameyang had to get shipped out. We've had Willian, we've had Sterling, Trossard and Martinelli want to be upgraded on. There's only Saka this guy's improved, man, in the attack. So if he can't get the best out of the striker, I don't really know where else we go, if I'm honest.
If we get Sesko and he flops, our manager will be saying hallelujah because it means that he can play Havertz.
That's true, man. God AEM says, as a Liverpool fan, combined 11, Odegaard or Wirtz? Well, Florian Wirtz walks in. I'm sorry. I like Odegaard, but Florian Wirtz is different level.
Cool. That's
unbelievable.
That's easy.
Can he do it in the Premier League, though?
That's easy. Well, let's see.
I don't rate him as highly as you lot, as some people do, but he is a quality player.
Yeah, I think he's
quality
top quality.
player, yeah, but let's see in the Prem.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we will see. I hope we don't. I hope he flops, but we'll see. Cliff says, chaps, why would Rodrigo come here? He wants to win trophies. Well, look, this is the thing. Rodrigo he's won everything. If he's coming here, it ain't to be competing and coming second. It's a good question. But we've got to convince him that we can get across the line. And then Conrad, everyone's bigging up this super chat. So big up to you, Conrad. He says, is it Berta's fault that Arsenal have Sambi Lokonga, Vieira, Nelson, and Tomiyasu still on the books? Zinchenko, Havertz, and Jesus all overpaid, and he can't get rid of them. People want Berta to hurry up, but they give Arteta 6 years.
It's fair enough.
That's basically what Matty was saying, I think. in a nutshell. That the wage bill has got to be looked at and contended with. And I must say, if you're a fan of these following players, fair play. But anyone who thinks Jesus and Havertz should be on 500k a week combined is a joke. Zinchenko was on 20k a week at Man City. He's now on 150. We've got Martinelli on 180. His contract's running out. He's going to have to ask for 200, 250 if he wanted to keep him. It's crazy, man. Calafiori, Marino. Why are these players?
Calafiori's a baller, man. Chill out.
Yeah, but does he deserve to be on that much money, Christian? Come on, man. Like, it's crazy.
And he's been overtaken by our 18-year-old from the youth team.
Even Kivior, right?
I think if Calafiori's fit, he's our starting left back.
No way.
I love Lewis-Skelly, but Calafiori is also a quality player.
Calafiori is a bench player now. It's too late.
Even Kivior, right?
No, I think you'd be surprised.
Kivior was on $2,500 a week.
See, that's another. If he does that now you've got a new thing that we're gonna have an issue with Arteta about. If Lewis-Skelly doesn't start left back, now we've got a new problem.
Calafiori be used probably as a center back. Left center back next year?
The rumor. That's the rumor. Even though I don't like him defensively, everything he does going forward looks all right.
People hate on Calafiori so much, isn't it?
I don't hate on him. I just don't really think he's amazing. I think he's all right.
He'd be a left wing.
He ain't Timber level, is he?
Nah.
Timbers.
Christian, that pause was too long, bro.
I think
Christian really likes him, man. Christian really likes him.
I rate him, man. I watched him a lot live at the Emirates, and he's been good pretty much every single time I've watched him. Like one of our better players.
Forget Rodrigo.
Injured too much this season.
I don't really remember any time Calafiori's ever been one of the better players. I'll be honest. I don't remember many times.
Forget Rodrigo. Calafiori, left wing, internal solutions. Our manager told us.
Yeah. You're trying to.
On that note, we need to end, man. Let me tell you that. But listen, man, it's been a great show. Big up to everyone for coming on, man. I'm going to send you over to Jez, myself, Jez, Lee Gunner, Kenny. We're all about to go on a show now, so I'll send you over that way. Big up to Christian. Make sure you're following Christian. Make sure you're following True Gunners TV, Brandon. Make sure you're following Famzone TV, and make sure you're following Southern Gooner. D, you got anything on tonight, mate? Or
yeah, I'm gonna go live with my cousin tonight. Just talk about how rubbish this Club World Cup is. You know what I mean? So just try and create some more chaos.
Yeah, listen, man. Love for coming on, bro. Make sure you follow Famzone. Really appreciate you coming on, man. Likewise, Matty. You got anything coming on, Matt?
Yeah, I'll be on with Lee tonight in the late game for the Club World Cup. We'll be watching that together.
Love that, man. Love that. Come show us some love to Jez. We're gonna go live now. Take it easy, people. We're out of here. Laters.